Number 4, what solemn warning does Jesus give about his second coming? For many will come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and will what? Deceive. We want to avoid being deceived. He said, Jesus says, Matthew 24:24, false Christs and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the very elect. Very convincing signs and wonders. He said, I'm telling you in advance. Jesus said, I'm prophesying. I'm telling you. Therefore, if they say, look, he's in the desert, that might be the Middle East, do not go out. Look, he's in inner rooms, do not believe it. Because when Christ comes, it says it's like lightning. Everyone's going to know, right? I don't know if you've ever met a false Christ. Probably if you live in the city, you've met several. When I was living in the mountains up in a cave, I lived like a hermit for about 1.5 years. And one day into my cave yard, this hiker came. And guy was about 6 feet tall, handsome man, shoulder length auburn hair, beard, hazel eyes. There's no one up there but me. He sat and he talked to me for a minute or two, and then he said, I'm Jesus. Well, at first I thought, I've got some Spanish friends named Jesus. Maybe he meant to say, I'm Jesus. And so I inquired a little more. He said, no, I am Jesus. And that kind of rattled me a little bit, because I just started reading the Bible, and then I thought, oh, I'm up here in the mountains with either Jesus or someone crazy. And I thought, what do I do? I thought, if it is Jesus, I don't want to hurt his feelings. So I was a little bit cautious in my answer. I said, now, if you're Jesus, didn't you say that when you come, it's in the clouds and everyone's going to see? And he said, well, yes, that's for most people, but I'm coming specially to prepare some other people. He knew his Bible. He had an answer for everything. But I knew something wasn't right, especially after he stayed with me for 3 days and ate all my food and didn't do any work. I knew Jesus wouldn't do that. And then I kicked him out. I had to evict Jesus. And then a few days later, I saw him down in Palm Springs, and he had found an apostle. This tall hippie was following him around going, this is Jesus. A few days later, I saw him again in town, and he was missing his front tooth. And I felt I felt bad for him, but I felt good for me, because I thought, I know Jesus has all his teeth. I was sure then it wasn't Jesus at that point. But the false Christs in the last days are going to be very convincing. They're not going to be just deranged people.